All right, so you asked, what are the chances they actually fix the Naga bug? I'm coping. It is actually a good chance. And the reason for that is because let's go back about a year and 5 months ago. Back in December, not 2023, 2022. They actually had a section here where they actually had for skills related to strength recovery, which is like HP recovery. The basis for choosing the target was changed from absolute value HP to remaining ratio. And units that are concerned on that is Pepper and Rapunzel. Now they are healing the lowest HP, but it's by HP ratio, which is HP percentage. That's really what's happening right now with Naga. The issue with Naga is it was based on the absolute value instead of the HP percentage. So there is a good chance that they should be applying that thing to Naga also. It is probably a residue of whatever they did long time ago and they just forgot. But as a temporary solution, you're probably just gonna have to deal with using Vigor Cube at level 7. I wouldn't really like try to push it if you don't have like level 7. I wouldn't really try to push it, but level 7 does have a 9.69% HP. Sometimes it's just unfortunate though, because we have some people that have barely invested units. Even see, this one has a red hood that is max score already. It's 3.2 mil HP, and then another one which is like 3.0 for Modernia at core 5. Naga score 1 3.1, but Crown is at 3.7. So, and according to him, it takes about 3.5 mil HP before he can make sure that it is less. So it is kind of pretty much impossible for him to, even if they have Vigor used, and at level 7 Vigor, that's a 9.69%, it's still not enough. But it's just a side option for some people. And at worst case scenario, just unequip some of your equipments if you still can. Brick mine before the PSA, so I'm trying to figure out how to configure my campaign team. It's still better. Using Crown with Naga is still the better option, regardless if it was bricked or not for campaign. You're just getting less than what you should be getting. I think you guys are misunderstanding though. It's still better to use Crown Naga, even if it's not bricked, or even if it's bricked or not. Crown Naga going to be optimal outside of single team content? Yes, in different situations. There's specific situations where they can be the option, even in solo raid, unit raid. And that will be depending on different people's accounts and depending on the raid itself. Okay, give you a perspective. You have Red Hood here. Most people would probably do this, right? Like you have Red Hood and Alice here, and then like Maxwell, Snow White and Maxwell here. So you would decide to go, oh, I'm gonna put Red Hood and Alice together, and I'm gonna put Snow White and Maxwell together. So you have like a Tia Naga here. Team 1 is RH plus Alice. Team 2, Snow White plus Maxwell, right? These are spitball numbers, and I'm just giving examples. I'm not saying these are the exact numbers. I'm just giving you a situation because you guys specifically asked what kind of situation it could be, why would you decide to use Crown Naga instead. So now if you add both of them together, it would be 195 plus 60, 255 total damage, and is equal to 295 total damage. So the point that I'm getting at here is, for example, you have a really strong DPS combination. One example is Red Hood Alice. Let's just say that. What if we never had like any other units? And what if you, for example, don't have a second properly invested like set of teams? Why would you decide to use like why would you try to spread your power when you can just pump your strongest units in your team 1 with the best buffers also, and just deal so much damage on that team 1. I mean this one. So you just combine all of it all into that team 1, because the thing is, again, this is just a pure example, and again, the math is don't get these map correct. The idea that I'm putting in is this way, right? This is just the idea that I'm saying. It is a worth it consideration for you to try to see if just pump out the best DPS and your best buffer in that team 1, and then your sub mediocre ones, you know, on that team 2, team 3, whatever it is. This scenario will work regardless whether your crown is brick. So if say for your crown Naga was brick, it probably is like a 1.5 instead of a 1.6 multiplier. It's still a overall upgrade, because this is kind of like the idea behind it. If you're jumping from Tia Naga, you're still getting like an overall a huge increase. This is not the exact numbers because I'm still testing. I'm not done yet with the testing. The idea is there, and it is roughly kind of like that. Mr. Konto has, when he was testing, he said he's getting 20% on his brick. With the not brick, he would have gotten like about like a 7 to 10% like damage increase. You're not missing out too much on whether if the crown is bricked or not. I think you guys are focusing too much on, oh, it's only working on campaign. No, in solo raid, and especially it's gonna vary from account to account. Different people will have different investments. Some people will only have like a few DPS investments, and then maybe they only have one main DPS for each element. Then you darn well sure want to have the best buffer with your best DPS for that boss. That crown and Naga is very much a viable option. But also something to keep in mind is the main reason for that is a viable option is because Naga gives core damage. If the boss doesn't have core damage, then I think Crown Rapunzel will roughly even it out. I need to do a little bit more testing on that one. If the boss doesn't have core, I do have some other things to test on. Do not discount the Crown Naga combination just because it's a solo raid or union raid situation. And also don't worry too much as well if you're not brick or brick, because it is still an overall upgrade. You think it's still brick if you have 5 team for SR? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing too to keep in mind. We're gonna keep, it's not like we're gonna stop getting units. Yeah, the Crown and Naga combination is not completely out of the equation in the future. It is a clear upgrade going from Tia Naga to Crown Naga. There's like just hands down, there's no going about it. So in solo raid, it's Crown Naga instead of Tia Naga? No, it is a option, and there's gonna be different situations. If the boss has core, then Crown Naga is something. If the boss has core, then Crown Naga is a good option. If the boss doesn't have core, it might be better for you to kind of split them to take advantage of Naga's burst instead, because Naga in particular doesn't really provide anything else other than the core damage bonus and the buff when she's bursting. And so if Naga is not bursting, then you're not really getting use of Naga herself, because if the boss doesn't have core, then like her skill 1 and skill 2 is almost like not really that used. So it's gonna vary from boss to boss. It's gonna vary from solo raid to solo raid. It's gonna vary from account to account. There's just a lot of complexity to it. I think the biggest thing is to understand when you should do it and when you should not do it. I can't just say like this is the solution for everybody, and because if I say saying this one thing for someone is probably gonna be otherwise for another person. Is Crown Naga good for campaign pushing? Yeah. If there's no core, who would you generally recommend over Naga with Crown? Rapunzel, assuming all other supports are the same investment level. I would probably just put another DPS. I think I think people are just also hyper focusing on just having that healer. It's not like she doesn't heal herself. She still has a 50% uptime to it. I think people are too focused on that, like having that extra healer. Also, it is an option, and it is not a bad option, by the way, because like not everyone has an invested unit. Not everyone has like an invested third DPS for a crown team. Can she solo sustain? It depends on the boss, because like she has a shield and you can use that shield as a way to bypass mechanics instead. For example, like if crown came out when Nihilister came out, if you have enough DPS to just destroy the turrets immediately, you could totally just solo sustain that whole fight because you have shield, and I think like you can block Nihilister's shield, and so you actually probably don't need like a healing if you have enough DPS, and likely you will have if you put in 3 DPS and crown. And for high end people, they probably would be able to just destroy it, the turrets ASAP. I can probably set it up, so then I can set up a crown team with probably with 3 DPS and without needing a healer. So it's gonna depend. And if she cannot solo sustain, plug in like another healer. Plug in Helm. Like it's not that crazy. It's not that bad.